Saint Anthony of Padua was a wonder-working saint of the Franciscans who was enormously popular because of his miracles and teachings in northern Italy during the late Middle Ages. This miracle is one of the most famous and most discussed, one of the popular tales of Saint Anthony to come out of Padua. On one occasion in Tuscany, which is a larger province in Italy, Saint Anthony happened to attend the funeral of a rich and wealthy man. It was said that this rich man was so stingy and miserly, who died suddenly, leaving behind his entire fortune. All his relatives gathered for his funeral, and Saint Anthony was also present at the scene, and he was deeply troubled. Suddenly moved by the fervor of the spirit, he exclaimed, "This dead man must not be buried in consecrated ground, but outside the city walls like a dog, since his soul is damned to hell, and he does not have heart in his body." While the saint was in prayer, God revealed to him that this man's soul was in hell, on account of his unjust dealings with others. An immense crowd of people had gone to hear the saint preach the funeral sermon. Saint Anthony at once ascended on the pulpit, began by pointing out the heinousness of the sin of usury, declaring that usurers, in their thirst of gold, were the enemies of mankind, desiring nothing so much as war, famine, pestilence, and so forth, so as to enrich themselves at the expense of others, and satisfy their craving for those riches in which their happiness alone consisted. Then, speaking with still greater emphasis, Saint Anthony exclaimed, "They are also the enemies of their own souls, for it is indeed rare for a usurer to become holy." He then said, "This is precisely what had happened to the one to whom these last honors are being paid," pointing to the coffin before him. To prove the truth of my assertion, you need only go look at the box where the man stored all of his treasures, which for the short time he lived on earth was the joy and God of his heart, and you will find their heart lying under his gold. For the Son himself declared, "Where your treasure is, there is also your heart." The people at this announcement remained at first perfectly dumbfounded, but after which the crowds rushed to the house of the deceased in order to confirm it for themselves the truth of this claim. Then the people insisted on opening the treasure box, and eventually, to their great astonishment, found the miser's heart still warm, lying under the gold. But not yet fully convinced of this truth, they again returned to the church where the corpse was lying. Then a doctor was called upon to open his chest. Upon opening, they indeed found no heart in it. Filled with indignation against the usurer, they declared his body should not be buried in the consecrated ground, dragged it out of the city, and threw it on a place where dead beasts were buried. This wonderful occurrence did not fail to produce a good and lasting impression on the people. From that time, usury was almost stamped out of the city.